Welcome to the Everyday Executive Woman, casual chats about real life as a woman and leader, the podcast where senior level women leaders share real life stories, struggles, and strategies to thrive personally and professionally. I'm your host, Well Woman Executive Coach and brain rewiring expert, Lisa Michelle Smith. Join me for casual and candid conversations, relatable insights, and actionable guidance that will inspire and empower you to lead confidently, live healthily, and embrace your perfectly imperfect self. Hey, hello and welcome everybody, and welcome to my guest today, Mary Glynn-Fisher. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast and being one of my first guests for this new podcast with Executive Women, and talking about real life, right, in work as an executive woman, in your personal life, and sharing some things that can entertain as well as educate and provide ideas and support for other female executives. So Mary and I have known each other for quite a few years, and she is my financial advisor and my colleague and one of my best supporters and fans. So always appreciative of that, and always love to have conversations with you, Mary, because you're just so real, down to earth, and funny. So to get started, why don't you just share a little bit about, the organization you work for, what your role is currently with it, and anything that you want to share about what you love about the work that you do right now.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. There's a lot of compliments there. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to live up to all of them, but thank you. Totally. Thank you so much. And yes, I think maybe out of all the things you said about our relationship, me being your fan is the thing that gets me most excited. For those of you who are Lisa Tribe members or followers of the great Lisa Smith, some of you know this, some of you don't, but Lisa's the kind of person that listened to Think and Grow Rich when she was in her late teens and 20s. She really always sees for people. Lisa, you always see for people what's great for them, what's possible for them. And I just love that you're a champion for other women. In fact, you really are that person. So I'm a fan. I'm cheering you on, and you've made a huge difference for me and all the people that I've known that had the chance to interact with you. So I just really want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you for that. So enough about me.
Okay, fine.
You.
All right. So I am, as Lisa said, Mary Glynn-Fisher. I reside in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I get to travel all across the United States in my role, which currently, just to really simplify it, I help people get more out of their money, and I help people get into the business of helping people get more out of their money. And that is nothing I ever would have done in my life, not in a million years, until I realized that when you get the money thing right, you increase people's confidence, you increase their ability to have more of what they want in their life and less of what they don't. And so Five Rings Financial really was just an incredible blessing in my life. The story goes on January 11th, 2011. I was invited to a workshop called Money 101. I thought I already got the 101, maybe 301 is for me, but thank God I went to the Money 101, because what I realized is that day in January of 2011, that most of us in America, middle and upper middle class, are working our tails off, doing whatever we can. But some of the education that we have about finances is not getting us across the finish line. And we feel like it's our fault, and we feel isolated, and sometimes we feel stupid and annoyed about it. But this amazing gentleman, Mike Will, came into my life that day, taught this amazing workshop. And I remember thinking, they didn't put a sticky name tag on me. That was cool, because I've worn a lot of sticky name tags, as probably most of you listeners have. And he gave this incredible workshop that was packed with value. And the value really came with how money works, how it's not working, and how it could maybe work better for people. And he told it in such an enrolling and detailed way that I was hooked. I mean, I was writing notes like crazy woman. Now, I never thought back in 2011 I would be in the financial services industry. That wasn't really what I was pursuing at the time in my life. But I realized that leadership, providing leadership for people, could actually be helping people do this with their money. and especially empowering women with this, because the truth is most of the money that's spent around the globe, but certainly in the United States, is spent by or the spend is influenced by a woman. And yet we have this kind of story that women are not really good with finances. We're not good with planning. That's not our role. Someone else is going to do it for us. But the truth is, for most of us who are in heterosexual relationships in the upper middle class, our guy doesn't know much more than we do either. So we're all kind of like stuck. So it's my passion, my delight, and really my honor to be able to teach people the things that Mike Wilk taught me to help people get moving again in the direction of feeling hopeful about their finances and having a place where, they can make decisions, learn what they need to learn. And anyway, I'm really tickled every single day that I get to go to work doing this.
Great. And can you tell us what your current role is in Five Rings Financial?
Yeah, so my title, it sounds very big, but is Executive Vice President and Agency Director. And it sounds like I'm a boss, but I'm really not. I've got a couple of staff members. We call them customer experience teammates who really help us with our clients. But my role is to find and educate people. And those who are willing, we help them look at what they're doing with their finances, what their plan is, whether it's their retirement plans or their savings plans or, the things that they have, we call it in their financial funnel, and see if we can't improve upon that, have them get more out of it. Because a lot of times people do something, say in their 20s at their job there, and then they never alter. So we want to make sure people have current relevant information and are backed by the very, very best companies to help them cross the finish line. And so my role is teaching. My role is one-on-one consulting. We don't charge people for that consult, so that's very, very cool. I also host events: Wine, Women, and Wealth, Money 101, Money, Mommy, and Me, Money Mix and Mingle. So a lot of what we do is build community and support one another in community. And I'm a mom and a wife and a daughter of aging parents and a sister to awesome siblings. And I just, like really blessed to be in my community. And speaking of community, that's how Lisa, we met. There was this awesome group of women back in the day who came together, and the club disbanded, but we all stuck together. So bringing community together, I would say, is my number one role. But really, when it comes down to making a very specific change in someone's life, it's having a one-on-one conversation and helping people see where we might make a difference for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not just about the numbers. Sometimes it's really about helping people reduce their fear and feel comfortable with even looking at it. Because a lot of people are in stages of denial about their finances, when they feel powerless.
Yeah.
I could go on
So
forever,
true.
clearly.
So
Sorry.
true. Uh,
Sorry. Yeah.
so since we're speaking to an audience of other executive women, how do you see your role, and how do you like to play your role as a leader and role model to others that are in your organization, and especially the ones that you've brought into the organization and you have under your wing?
Yeah, that's a great question. The how it really hits me, and when I was thinking about this, preparing for our interview today, uh, was it's really about empowering people in their greatness. Because I'm no better than anybody who I have a chance to mentor. I may have some skills and abilities and maybe a little bit of data or insight that they don't yet have. But I think that especially executive women, we all have a resume that we've built with a multitude of skills. And so my job isn't to like be the boss, but it's to empower each person. And that can be different. People come here with different skills and backgrounds and different desire, different levels of speed that they want to go at. So my role is to really assess, um, help them assess where they are and where they'd like to go. And if we can help them to do that, I'm delighted to do it. But I would say one of my colleagues, Rita, always says we come alongside people. And I think that is a great approach. Like, we're peers. I just may have some insight in this area that could make a profound difference for you. But your opinion is valid. Your experience is valid. Your questions are valid. And that's really not how the financial services industry works, because it's sort of like, here's what we're selling, you should buy it. If you don't, you're an idiot later. And we don't believe that. What we believe is education is empowerment. And when people understand, then they're free to make a great choice. So we have a lot of super wealthy people that we work with in terms of income and maybe assets, but sometimes they just need a little bit of tweak, a little bit of additional education. And then we have other people who are building those assets and building their future, and maybe they need somebody who can really listen to what their goals are and how they want to accomplish it. And we help them to do that. So empowering others, uh, not just in like some headline, but really listening for what they're up to, how they want to do it, and maybe how we can assist them.
Right. Now, being a leader of other people has its challenges. What do you feel are some of the challenges that you face when you're trying to effectively lead other people who have different personalities and styles and objectives, and where sometimes it's you come across some conflicts or ways that you're looking at things differently. Where do you find some of those challenges in being that kind of leader that you want to be to other people?
Oh, that's the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? Right? It's the survival question, but I love it. So, maybe you all feel the same way, but I always want to have the answer, right? That's kind of who I am. I want to be helpful. I want to shorten the timeline for somebody. I want to give them the answer. And what I have learned is internally, when there's a conflict for me, like, oh, that didn't feel good, is really asking myself, am I really listening to this person? So I think listening, in fact, I was having a mastermind with a couple of colleagues the other day, and we were saying when we feel rushed is when we're not at our best, because it's like, okay, I know I'm supposed to do all this, but oh, hurry up. And then you skip steps and people feel maybe less heard or less important. So staying vigilant to my own garbage is probably the first, right? But I think overarching that is understanding what's the mission in common. What's the mission in common? And really, really having an appreciation for there's, 5 different generations in the workforce today, 5 different sets of backgrounds just from generation. Forget, what part of the country you grew up in or who your parents were or what your religious background was, or maybe you're an immigrant and you're from an international community. There's a million things that can filter into how someone acts. So I tried to do my best to really listen through what are they committed to related to our mission. And if I get confused because it's noisy or it doesn't make sense to me, I'll slow things down and say, okay, I really do want to understand. So let's talk about what your comment, worry, complaint is. And let's just slow it down for a minute and let's go back to the mission. And we get aligned with what the mission is. Why are they here? What are they up to? What do they want to accomplish as a leader here? And I just ask permission. Can I listen through what I know you're really committed to? And normally what happens is conflict generally arises when there's a power struggle. Like, you think you should do it this way. I think you should do it that way. I don't really get into those. You're kind of welcome to do it any way you want, as long as you're following the rules and the guidelines. And other than that, you can be as creative as you want. What I do see suffering for some leaders is that it's got to be my way or the highway. And like in brain surgery, absolutely, right? But when it's dealing with relationship with people, maybe their way might actually be more effective. So I try to really keep the most important thing is, as Mike Wilk, our CEO, always says, keeping the main thing the main thing. That is interesting. Mehran Asadi says, keeping the complex simple. That's a challenge, but we want to do that. So, so in the face of conflict or disagreement, or just that feeling when it's like, I do my best to be in communication. And communication to me looks a lot like, let me say my piece and invite you to say whatever you got to say so I can hear it. And I think oftentimes if you ask more questions, ask great questions, and are generally genuinely curious and interested in other people, the solution will reveal itself.
Yeah, great. So, love that answer.
Thanks.
Right? Listening and getting curious. Um, and diving a little bit deeper, right? Don't go into assumptions, but really go deeper and ask those questions. So I'm curious, when you have to make a hard decision in your role, um, as senior VP, et cetera, what guidelines or values do you feel like you turn to or rely upon in helping you with decision making?
That's great. So when it comes to hiring, hire slow and fire quickly, right? You really want to, if you're going to invest in people, I'm speaking to other executive women, right? Because um, I don't have the same employee-employer relationship that most people do. But having the person who's going to fit your culture and has the skills to accomplish the job, these are vital. And you can't always see it. But so one of the values is the opinion of others may matter, but not like an opinion, a vested opinion, right? Not just, oh, I have an opinion, but a vested opinion. So when bringing somebody on board, I do my best to make sure that they meet a lot of people in our culture and our environment, so they have an opportunity to interview us as much as we're interviewing them, because I think that's one of the mistakes people make. You're so lucky to come work here. Well, yeah, but you're lucky to have that person. So we got to make sure it's a match. So I think on the front end, I've got a lot of coaching in that area. It's been really helpful because I'm super optimistic and I see the greatness in everybody. And that can really mess some things up sometimes. So sometimes I have to slow my roll a little bit. And then there is, this has happened very few times, but there's just a few things you can't tolerate in your environment, and you make that very clear to people before. For me, it's gossip. Our policy is, if you have a problem with somebody, you bring it to the person you have the problem with, and if you don't get the resolution that is satisfactory, then you can escalate up. But it's so, I mean, there's examples of people who oh, they're going to tell everybody. So what we want to do is invite people to a policy called, if you have a problem, bring it to the person and then go up, right? Don't spread. And that way we can maybe solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question? Sorry.
Yeah, it's somewhat, and there's no right or wrong answers to any of these questions. So, again, that's what I love about this open, real conversation.
Awesome.
Uh, so, what does a typical day look like for you, starting in your morning, right at home? Let's again get real. Let's take the makeup off, right? And
Yeah.
say, what is the day for you, and how does it roll, and where do you kind of have some stressors or have to make, decisions about how to organize your time, et cetera. So from the morning to when you go to bed, um, what does kind of that look like for you?
Yeah, great. So for my best days, my schedule is firm the night before, and I'm clear about it before I go to bed. I love to go to bed early, and sleep has become increasingly important for me as I hit my 50s, and I'm sure it'll be valuable for the rest of my life. There was a philosophy I used to have, which is like sleep when you die, but no, you really need to nourish your body, right? You need to give your body a chance to regenerate the cells and get better. So I would say, like, starting with sleep, it's knowing what the plan is for the next day before I go to sleep, because I think you give your brain a chance to help you have a great day. I'm usually up super early, like I'll get up at 4, and then I'm thinking, I don't want to be up now. So sometimes I'll watch something valuable. I'll watch something to put myself back to sleep. Or lately I've been watching Seinfeld. Okay, which is probably not the best programming, but it raises my humor. Okay. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know Seinfeld, can't really recommend it, but I'm just saying it's a part of my culture. And then I'm up. So I'm fortunate enough that when I'm at home, and I'm at home, I wake up at my own house probably about 70% of the year. Other than that, I'm on the road. But I have the sweetest husband in the world, and usually he beats me to the punch, and I get coffee delivered in bed. So that's a pretty good deal. We that was not in the prenup, but I'm just saying it's turned out to be pretty good for us. And we have a son who's in high school, and he's out the door about 10 minutes to 7. So we're early in the house. Then once that all settles down, I get to work, and I check in my calendar. I kind of
And
review
you're
what we're
working
up to.
from home?
Yeah, this mostly working from home, mostly working from home. And about 80% of my life is on my iPhone. When I'm doing a presentation, it's either in person or on Zoom. Um, but but a lot of my logistics. So I will check my social media, I will check my emails all on my phone.
Mhm.
And on the days that I do what I really should do, I'm out going for a walk. My husband and I got a little walking project, and we go somewhere different. So we live near the ocean, so we have the ability to go, see the Great Atlantic. And depending on the day, it's an entirely different environment. Even if we do the same walk, we walk around the bay. There's some amazing places here. We walk around the street. I mean, it's just beautiful here. Bird life, wildlife. It's just a beautiful place to be. And then sometimes we go to Mount Trashmore. For those of you not from this area, it's like a walking path that was built, yes, on a heap of trash, but it's a cool spot so we can challenge ourselves with the hill, because we live in Virginia Beach, which is not very hilly. But I would say my best days are when I get up early. I've got my coffee. I, do my nutrition. I do my, I will say the Seinfeld, I kind of skip this part. Sometimes I wake up grumpy, not like I want to get out of bed. I'm not that person, but sometimes I wake up worried about things, just to be super vulnerable with you and your audience. And I catch myself um, recognizing I have a choice. Like, I worry about my parents and their health and their circumstances, because there's just heavy duty stuff, and there's other things to worry about. And I just stop myself. I get conscious, and sometimes I do tapping. Sometimes I just do a little meditation. Sometimes I just do some deep breathing, but I'll say to myself, it's going to be a great day. We're here to make a difference. Right. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of executive women do know. You can change your state like that, but sometimes we forget. And man, it can be a vacuum. So this morning I woke up, I had a dream that someone stole our car. Okay.
Goodness.
Whatever that was. So at 4 o'clock, when I woke up at 4 o'clock, I was like, oh gosh, maybe someone's trying to steal our car. So I like went out and I double locked all of our cars, and which of course I'm sure my neighbors didn't really appreciate. Um, but I think I'm so excited to get to work. I'm so excited to meet my next client. I'm so excited to meet my partner. I'm so excited to get on and run some numbers with somebody that'll show them something. I'm so excited to go to a networking meeting where I know I'm going to meet an incredible human being. Like, I'm really excited about making a difference in people's lives, and how lucky I am to live in this country at this time as a woman, where, yeah, there's plenty of things to complain about and criticize and improve. But really, as a 56-year-old woman in America, I have every opportunity to do whatever I want when I want it. And sometimes I have to speak a little bit more loudly. I got that. But I'm super proud to be in this position and to be able to make this kind of an impact. And then my day will be on Zoom. Sometimes it'll be in person. Sometimes it'll be driving to a location. Usually I spend most of the time on the phone, talking to people, staying in touch with people. And in a given week, I probably have, I was doing this calculation, somewhere around 80 conversations with people, from my CEO or my partners to our clients, and then texting people. Part of being in a community-based organization like we are is feeding your community and being there for them. So keeping my ear to the ground on what's going on for people. And then I will usually take a nap when given the chance. I believe the
That's some good
siesta,
self-care.
it's a huge self-care deal. And I had sprained my ankle like 2 years ago. And so I kind of got into the habit. You can't be seated like this all the time, and you certainly can't be running around. And I got into the habit of putting your feet up and just closing your eyes for a little bit. So usually somewhere in the 2 to 4 o'clock hour, if I've scheduled myself properly, I will take 45 minutes or an hour, and I will just be quiet. And I'm telling you, then I come back and I'm ready for more. But then spend some time with my family, have some food, I talk to my sister every day. A couple of my best friends I talk to every day, but my sister for sure. I check in with my mom almost every single day, but not long conversations like, how are you? What's going on? What's happening? And create some joy for each other or deal with serious things. And yeah, that's about it. There's special events at night we go to, but I'm not a super, this sounds really weird, but I'm not super social. I mean, I love my people and I love being with people, but I'm kind of a homebody. So I'm super happy to live this life this way.
Great. So we have a few minutes left in the podcast. So I'm curious, as the Well Woman executive coach, one of the things that I work on and teach my clients is ways to better manage challenges and struggles, and ways to be able to address those challenges and create better outcomes and resolutions, with as much speed and grace and positive outcome as possible.
Yes.
Can you share with our audience a recent struggle that you had, and what maybe is one key resource or mindset or attitude that helped you to handle that, more quickly, more effectively for a positive outcome?
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'll talk about what's going on in my personal life, but of course it's all one, and that is my mom and dad are aging and they've been in and out of the hospital.
Mm.
And they are such independent people, and kudos to them for that. But it also puts us in a position as the kids where there's a lot of like, okay, what's going to happen now? Like, who's going to the hospital next? Um, so what I recognized was that I had a really clear attitude about, okay, my parents chose this path, how it's going, and so it's going to play out, and I have to give some space for that, even though it's sucks in my opinion. But I was accumulating stress. Like, I found myself shorter tempered. I found myself less gracious. I found myself not really wanting to talk about it, if that makes sense. It was like I almost forgot that I had chosen a position. And when I realized it, it was like, oh, I'm really unhappy. I don't really like who I'm being. I was actually a little biatchy, if you want to be true about it. Like, inside, I thought everybody thinks I'm this really nice person, but I feel like I'm not. And I realized it was the accumulation of stress. And so I was, talking with one of my amazing colleagues, and he said, "Well, you should stick to the facts, and that'll happen. Like, that'll help you a little bit." So I think a lot of women get stuck in our story and the narrative, and that's certainly where I was. I mean, I was in the weeds. I was like, okay, what are the facts? So I assessed the situation. This is what's going on with mom. This is what's going on with dad. And if I get sick because of my worry for them, that would really be the ultimate disaster. So I'm just going to get clear. I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to be a bright light as often as I can. And I really turned that around for myself. But I realize I'm an example to a lot of people. So I had to be transparent with my team about the pain I had been going through. I said, I might have been shorter with you than I wanted to, or I might not have said that the right way, and I'm not trying to be perfect. That's not the pursuit, but the pursuit is authentic and real and connected. And they were so grateful that I let them in on that. I didn't blame anybody else. I took responsibility, but I said, maybe it was that way. And they both, but in this meeting, both said, "Oh, thank God you're telling us this. We knew something was up. We didn't know how to help you." So I think empowering yourself to deal with the facts and sharing it, being vulnerable without dumping it on people, right? Being vulnerable about what you're dealing with your commitment to be you as opposed to that person.
Yeah.
That was big for me.
Yeah. Well, good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ability of a leader to be vulnerable is so important. It's something, that I share about. And, what's the difference between, like you said, being vulnerable, appropriately vulnerable, versus being, burdening and vomiting, your problems on people.
Right.
But people are more willing to trust you as a leader and um, to be able to look up to you, right? If you're
Yes.
showing, if people look at you and say, oh, they're perfect, they don't have any problems, then it doesn't allow them, right, to be vulnerable or to share maybe challenges that they have. So if you model being vulnerable and sharing where you're struggling or where you don't have the answer, um, and you engage people in that support or the idea generation,
Yes.
right? Then you endear yourself to them and you build up that trust that's so important in the role as a leader.
Yeah.
So,
And
so I
let me
love
just add one more thing to that because it's so good. What I also recognized was now I needed to give space so they could do the same.
yes,
It was like I wasn't just making my deposit and getting back on the highway. It was like, okay, we've now opened up this conversation. And it's like, okay, so now it's an intention to say, okay, let's check in a little bit with the human beings here. And nobody's going to run away with the show, but the door is open when someone's dealing with something. Again, not as a dumping ground, but as a like, I'm going to keep you in the loop. And super happy about that. And you've been such an amazing example of that always, Lisa, in terms of I mean, I look at you as a perfect person. I know you don't think that, but I look at you as always highest level of integrity, always high, from your nutrition to your habits to your like you're always perfect. But you've always been incredibly real about how that is. And that's been a great contribution to so many. So thank you.
great, awesome. Well, it's been a
Yeah.
great conversation. We just, we're getting down to the time where our recording is going to end. One fun thing about you that I want you to share, and I have lots of great questions that I'm asking my guests. So this quick one for you
Uh-oh.
is, what kind of toppings do you like on your pizza?
Oh, that's so good. So I hate to admit it because processed meat is like a cancer causer, right? But I love me some crispy pepperoni and some really delicious mushrooms on real Italian pizza.
Okay, I love
Love
it.
it.
Thank you for that share. Well,
Thanks for asking. I'm hungry
thanks
now.
for being on the podcast with me today, Mary. It's been a delight learning more about you and having my audience learn more about the wonderful person you are. But again, the real life, the struggles as well as the successes, and that's what it's all about. So thanks for joining us, and until next time, remember to take care of yourself first, and then you can better take care of others. Take care, Mary. Bye bye.
Thanks, Lisa. Bye.
Thanks for joining me on The Everyday Executive Woman. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe or bookmark this channel, leave a review, and share it with another executive woman who could use some encouragement. Remember, you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Just be you. Until next time, keep grounded, keep growing, and keep taking care of you.